remind everyone again, you'll hear later about our Saturday market participation in October, and I will tell you an example of why we should do that. So I've known Michelle for a while from various places, but we ran into each other at the Saturday market while Regions was sponsoring, and we just started talking. I hadn't talked to her in a while and said, well, what are you doing now? She told me what she was doing now, and that turned into a perfect invitation for them to come speak at our meeting. So you never know who you're going to meet at the Saturday market and what opportunity that may turn into. Michelle and Elizabeth come from Tennessee Voices, and I think most of you know one of the newer areas of focus for Rotary International is mental health. And I think the more speakers we can bring to our club to address that issue, all the different spaces that mental health education helps in, I think it would be better. So they're here to tell us a little bit about Tennessee Voices and the work that they're doing. And I think actually Elizabeth Smith's coming up first, right? Nice. Come on up. Do they need the clicker? Do they need the clicker?
Talking to you, you're going to do things, right?
I need the website.
Yeah, eventually. I'm trying to, maybe you can tell me when it's time. I'm not sure. I'm not great with time, guys. I'm trying to like put stopwatch up. Okay. So hi guys. I'm Elizabeth. I'm with Tennessee Voices, and this is my coworker Michelle. She'll be talking in a second. I've actually visited your guys' club before a little bit ago because I also am in, don't throw anything at me, but I am in the Murfreesboro Kiwanis Club. So I do love coming and visiting, so thanks for having me again, just in this role. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about our organization, Tennessee Voices. Have any one of you heard of Tennessee Voices? I got one. I got a couple. Thank you. Yeah, of course. So raise your hand if any of you guys have kids or had kids. Okay. Raise your hand if you know someone with a kid. There you go. And raise your hand if you have everything figured out in your life, in your child's life. No? Okay. Well, Tennessee Voices, we're a mental health and family support services nonprofit. And so we have our satellite physical location in Goodlettsville, and we just opened another branch in Jackson City in Madison County as well. But then we have staff kind of all over the state. And so because of that, it means that we can serve the whole state in person and in telehealth, lots of different ways. And so we were developed in the 1980s, early 1990s by Tipper Gore, Al Gore's wife, to address youth mental health and just that collaborative care that children often have a need for and advocacy needs when there's mental health challenges with children. But we have since expanded to serve also adults and families. And so because of that, you might still see Tennessee Voices for Children out and about, but we primarily go by Tennessee Voices. And so we kind of have about, I like to say, two main buckets. We have our outpatient services, which is individual therapy, family counseling, and medication management. And then we have a programs bucket, and that is our programming primarily for families. There's a couple things that can be not for families too. And then Michelle's going to talk to you about one of her programs within that. And so for our outpatient services, we're kind of unique because we can serve those who have insurance, which a lot of nonprofits actually don't serve that. But we also can take TennCare, Medicare, TRICARE, and we have sliding scale and grants that can cover it for free. So for those who are underinsured or uninsured. We also have a grant right now to cover it for pregnant women, and that is not income-based. So we just have a lot of different ways that we can serve anyone in the community who has a mental health challenge and just needs someone to talk to. And again, that could be in person at our 2 physical locations or virtual statewide. Now for our program side, we have so many different things. And what I was going to actually show you on the website here is if you go up to programs, so our website's TN Voices. So up on the top, you can look through all of our programs here and just see we have so many different ways that we can serve communities. Now some of them are specific to need or location, but you can get a kind of a gist of what we have to offer. So we have some things, I'll just quickly walk through a little bit here. We have some more intensive programming if there's youth who have a lot of needs that might be almost displacing them maybe from their school or home. We have evidence-based home visiting for pregnant to 5. If you've ever heard of Nurture the Next, I'm not sure you have, but Nurture the Next used to be its own organization doing evidence-based home visiting, and they came under our programming on January 1st. So we combined to offer more services from prenatal to kind of the end. So we have so many different ways to serve families who have that need. That one's great, again, if you know anyone who's like a new parent, who's low income, that needs extra support building that bond attachment with their child. We have some that are court involvement. We do have some long-term housing for those who come out of the hospital, from our mental health needs. The outpatient is where you can see what kind of insurance we take, things like that. Ready, Set, Grow is a great program that services 0 to 8. That one's not income based, and so I say that because anyone can have a child that has a behavior need. You know, that's not income based, that's not location based. No matter how good a family come from, you know, children are their own. So if there's anyone that you know of who needs help with their child, that one works with the child and the school or daycare. Statewide Family is the one Michelle's going to talk about. It's a great advocacy support program. And so then we also have different trainings that we can do too. So we also have layers to our programming. We can do services for individuals, families. We can do services and support for schools. So if schools need the extra layers of support, we can go in and do trainings for the school or certain teachers, calm corners for classrooms, different things like that. And then we have trainings for the community as well. So she's going to talk a little bit about one of them. It's called Mental Health First Aid. Both of us are trainers for that one. There's trainings that her program does for the common parent to learn more about advocacy, for how to advocate for children, or different needs that they have in the school system. And all of our services are at no cost, so we're grant funded. And so that is one way that we can serve the community, is provide all these really great things at no cost for folks. And so there's a lot of different ways that anyone can partner with us. One, of course, is just learning about mental health and having people like us here and speaking to you guys. So that's super helpful and great for us just to share about what we do and why we're here. Because there's, again, it might not be for you, but it might be for someone you know or someone you work with. And then another way is refer to us if there is folks that you yourself, your community knows that has a need. You can always pass them along our website, and I'm going to show you at the top of the website to the right, there's Make a Referral. And there's a step-by-step on how to make a referral to any of our programs. If you absolutely don't know either, there's a spot where you can just say general. And then if you also, can you do that tab over too? There's a spot too that you can sign up for a newsletter at the bottom of the website. And this is just a sneak peek of what our website looks like. Our newsletter looks like. Where it shows just generally things that's happening at Tennessee Voices, but then it shows upcoming trainings. So again, to pass on for yourself, to your friend, neighbor, yourself, to use, just different trainings that we have that are open to the public. Another way to support us is that we do have our evidence-based home visiting program that does family gatherings twice a year, and one of them does happen in Murfreesboro. And actually they just had one, I think, in June that my Kiwanis Club helped sponsor, and then they'll have one in December as well. So that's gathering families that are going through their evidence-based home visiting, who've been really working hard to learn parenting skills and bonding skills with their little one, and so that provides them a night of fun with other families too, because that social support is so important. So that's one way to get connected, either by volunteering even, or giving financially, but that's a really great one that happens exactly here in this community. And then, just staying up to date on what our happenings are with this newsletter, which includes sometimes fundraisers, sometimes trainings, highlighting a program, things like that. So I will now pass it over to Michelle to tell you about one of our programs.
All right. Thank you, Elizabeth. All right, very good. Well, thank you all for having us. A few of you know me. I've been around Murfreesboro for like 35 centuries. So thank you, Elizabeth, for speaking. Elizabeth covered a lot about Tennessee Voices, so I'm going to, thank you. I'm going to talk about Statewide Family Support Network and the mental health first aid classes that we offer. Statewide Family Support Network. Did it work? Oh. Sorry guys, I'm running things on 2 computers, on this one and that one. We, as family support specialists, we have firsthand experience having a child who's got some sort of mental health issue that we've helped them with, in my case, with IEPs and 504 plans in the school system. And I'm happy to report that one of my children is graduating a year early from Middle Tennessee State University. Yeah. So I've been an advocate for a long time, even when I didn't know that I was being an advocate, teaching my children how to stand up for themselves and speak up. So that's what I do in my job. I help teach parents. Sorry, I keep doing this. Okay, so the types of support we provide would be peer support, connection to resources, we do a lot of that. Education support, which Elizabeth mentioned, are trainings. Most of the trainings that were listed that Elizabeth pulled up are from Statewide Family Support Network. We've recently added a nurturing parenting class. We've got a parent-to-parent class coming up, and we've also added an anger management class that for parents who might need help in that regard. We offer DCS support, juvenile justice, mental health resources. If you need that for Rutherford County or any of the other counties in Tennessee, we should be able to access those resources and get them over to you. The trainings, I flipped here. The trainings I talked about, the educational support would be the 504s and the IEP plans and helping parents know what to say and what to ask for in those meetings with the school. And then, of course, community collaboration as much as we can. All right. So in SFSN, we have the ability to serve people in all 95 Tennessee counties. And the ages we serve are ages 0 to 22. And the youth or young person must have a serious emotional disturbance or the suspicion of one. So they do not have to be diagnosed. It can just be a suspicion of one. And we can, of course, help professionals requesting more information and trainings in that regard. Okay, and Elizabeth covered this, but you can make a referral on the Tennessee Voices website, tnvoices.org, and that button is on all of our pages, or you can call the office or reach out to one of us and we can direct you. All right. Thank you for coming and being here. Here's my contact information if you need that.
Michelle, do you have do you have time for questions?
Yeah, we have plenty of time.
I have a quick question. So I think I told you when we talked before, my mom taught special education for 35 years in Florida, so I am intimately familiar with IEPs from the educator side. Do you have access to I'm curious, to be in the IEP meetings at the schools or as an advocate sitting there?
Yes,
Okay.
we get access, we get a signed piece of paper
Okay, same.
a release of information.
Because I know one of the big challenges she ran into is sometimes she would say that she's sitting across from parents, they're not, it's like they're not even talking the same language, and they can't even find a common way to communicate, because it's gotta be collaborative, both sides
Right,
have to work.
right.
So
And
that's good.
part of that is we have meetings with the parents before we get to the school meeting.
Right.
And we can come up with a plan and agenda and kind of give them an idea of what they can ask for, or, you know, and remind them that, I always say we get more bees with honey, because that's what my parents always
Mine
said.
too.
And that's just a nice reminder to, let's approach it calmly and kindly and hear all the sides. Yeah.
How can you assist in this situation? A single mom with a 6th grader, 12-year-old boy, who's been to the psychiatrist, refuses to take what the psychiatrist orders, medication-wise, refuses to talk to the psychiatrist or counselor, just physically destroyed the home. You know, every door in the home is destroyed. And he is headed towards hurting himself, his mother, teacher, classmates, etc.
Nice.
What are the options?
Real quick, I'm not sure you're gonna say. You can share about your
No,
program.
go ahead.
Tennessee Voices. We have. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sick.
Come on up, Elizabeth.
We have a lot of levels of support. So we have some that are, you know, as simple as it can be, which is still complicated, right? But still as simple as can be with the advocacy piece for the IEPs. But we have other programs that can even do more intense work. So what you're saying, it sounds more like, what's it called? ICC, which I don't know what it stands for. Comprehensive care. And so
Yes.
that program is for children who are about to be at risk of being removed from the home or school.
Andy, will
And
you
so-
bring up the website with the page again?
And so that program can do more in-home intensive work to bring everyone to the table, to get on the same page, to make sure they're in therapy, more regular communication than maybe other programs might be offering. And it is a lot of times have to be collaborative, right? Because you have to have that buy-in. I recently did a session with my coworker with juvenile court workers on system of care, which is a system of care is what we operate at Tennessee Voices and a lot of other organizations as well, which means you're focusing on the family involvement and family voice. You're focusing on the child's buy-in and that child or youth's voice. You're looking at what their culture or linguistic needs are, and you're also looking at what community partners and community resources are going to serve that family the most.
So if that child refuses to cooperate
Yeah.
in that collaborative method, what's the next step for this child?
It depends. So sometimes if they're in DCS involvement, DCS can court order things. Now a lot of our programs are, you know, optional. So no one can really be forced to take our programs on our end. But if it's court ordered by the other end, like juvenile court or someone else, that's kind of up to them on what steps that they are going to require for that youth to be able to meet their goals, which might be to stay at their home or not go to, you know, alternative school, XYZ. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's great.
Yeah. I think you're.
I know the road to an IEP can be complicated, but maybe not everybody's familiar with it. Could you give just a short synopsis of how a child this might happen, and a school may, how you get to an IEP? Because that's kind of when you get involved, right?
Well, that happens a number of different ways. Sometimes the school will reach out to us. We'll get a referral through the website, and the school will say, the child needs help, the parent needs help. Sometimes it's the parent needs help, and we just address it as it comes in. But to start, and then sometimes a parent reaches out and does their own referral, and in that case, I receive the referral and I call the parent back and we talk through what's going on, what's been done, why do you think they need an IEP? And if we talk and we determine that they do need an IEP, then they send an IEP request email to the school and we proceed from there. It starts with an evaluation because the school needs to prove, so to speak, that the child needs an IEP.
Which is an individual education.
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry. I forget
Oh,
that
I know.
everybody
That's what
doesn't speak the jargon.
Right.
But yeah, and then we start with that, and then they have 60 days to complete their evaluation, and the school does, and that includes a lot of people. They pay attention to a lot of things, activities, the child's response, what exacerbates their issues, and then we have a meeting after that to determine what the best plan is for their IEP. And the IEPs are individualized. It's in the name. So the school should never just say, well, this is what we did for Johnny, so we're going to do this for Jane. It needs to be individualized.
And another quick note about IEPs. So they cover, if you don't know, they cover everything from emotional challenges to learning disabilities. And really, it's not even learning disabilities. It is different ways of learning. So my oldest daughter was in the gifted program, and super smart, straight A student. You wouldn't think, well, you know, they need an IEP because they're not struggling. Well, she struggled with the way she learned because she was so smart. So it covers everything from everything. Any challenge that is with a kid sitting in a traditional educational setting in a classroom is covered under IEP.
Right.
And it's just a modification to the way, either the way they are taught, the way they take tests, I mean, it could be almost anything, really, I think. Whatever that
Yeah.
student needs modified to help them learn in the regular classroom. So it's sort of, and I know specifically, I think you guys are working on the emotional part of it, but IEPs
Yeah.
cover a really wide range of what is needed for a student to have a more individualized educational experience.
Yes, and specifically for the SFSN grant, the child has to have either a diagnosed mental health, SED, which is serious emotional disturbance, or the suspicion of one. So, but that's just for this grant.
And so, because all of our programs have different requirements. So some of them might require that piece, some of them don't. So there's another called Connecting Forward that doesn't require that, but they require that the family's low income. So there's kind of a program for everyone. It just kind of depends on what the need is. There is more things for family units versus just single adults, but we still have some things for single adults as well. I think there's some questions over here.
Yeah.
So I'm coming out of this with a wife who's a fifth grade teacher. So just recently I've read the book, The Anxious Generation. I don't know if you've
Yes,
read it.
I'm listening to it right now.
Okay.
I'm almost done.
In light of that, you know, so part of that theory is that our children have developed anxiety issues tied to their cell phones,
Yes, technology.
iPads, video games, but also we're also coming out of a COVID.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're at the 5-year mark. Tell us of what you've seen in connection with
You can speak to that a
COVID,
little bit.
anxiety, this understanding the anxious generation anxiety tied to iPhones, iPads.
Well, I've only been in this job for about a year, so I don't really have a 5-year comparison on that, but almost every single child whose family I work with has anxiety and or trauma. And we can fill in the blanks and assume we know how we got to it, but you know, every path is different. I don't think I'm qualified to say specifically, you know, that it was this or that, but I do see a lot of anxiety and a lot of trauma come
Well,
through.
I'll add. So I've been at Tennessee Voice for a year and a half, and I'm strictly in an outreach role. I don't work directly with clients. But before this, I was in youth mentorship. So I worked at Big Brothers Big Sisters for about 5.5 years, and that's something I definitely saw with the families was a lot of anxiety and depression because of the isolation. And so, I mean, like the book is talking about, I think there's that isolation that's happening because of the introduction and dependency on technology. But then also COVID just kind of slammed that harder by shutting things down, encouraging people to stay in their rooms or homes. And, but parents still had to work. That's the last chapter I'm just recently on, is like parents having to work, kids are unsupervised, and technology is there. So I feel like it's like that perfect storm piece that's been happening and increasingly over the years with the increase of technology, but especially with that COVID piece, just kind of shutting other non-technology things down.
Elizabeth, so a couple things. So first with John, just to think through, we know that COVID played a huge part in that particular generation and created the anxiety. But I think what we also have to consider is the parent that's raising that child of that COVID era. That same child was also born during 9/11. And so you have to realize that that parent with the young kid was experiencing, we're at war and our whole worlds have changed during that time. So as a parent, we're more protective. We're thinking of, okay, what do we do here? And so as we start to come out of that, 5, 7, 8 years fast forwarding, and boom, COVID hits.
Yeah.
And so those things we have to take into consideration as well, which creates that anxiety.
I mean, my husband last night just showed me this technology chart thing of what people are spending their times on. And there's like family, church, technology, like 5, 6 different categories. And it's showing it kind of through the years. And it's just like pretty average, technology 0 until technology is introduced. And that quickly went through the ranks on how anyone is spending their time. So it quickly ran into, tight to number 1 over that 20-year span. And it just continues to grow with the introduction of XYZ. So I think a lot of just compounding.
One last thing, so I want to go right back to the very beginning, where she stated, talking about this 6-year-old kid and this mother. I don't truly think we addressed it.
Okay.
I think what happened was she asked, what do we do? It's just great information here, but I don't think she had a takeaway. She could go back and say, hey, this is what you need to do based on what we've learned today.
Yeah.
So I think we probably want to touch on what information she could take back to that, because I'm assuming this is the true story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is
Do you feel like you got what you were looking for there?
Well, I know the court system will be involved at some point, kind of situation. I would like to see something intervention before the court system. It's a good family, they have financial resources and that kind of situation, but that they're past their capacity of what to do, and their reaction now is just leave them at home all the time. You can't go to the family picnic because you misbehave. You can't go anywhere to the beach, you misbehave. And it's high risk for the school system also to have that kind of meltdown, anger in the classroom.
Is she a single mother, if you don't mind me asking?
Single mother, yeah.
See,
Yeah.
she
There's no
needs-
father there jerking knot in his neck,
Is it in this county?
Pardon me?
Is this county? Murfreesboro?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend the ICC program. So that's so for a tangible takeaway, I would say our ICC program at Tennessee Voices, that's in-home intensive care. And so that is for youth that are 0 to 18, I believe, that are experiencing severe challenges, that are, again, maybe at risk of being removed from the home. And so that's a great place to start, because they'll make sure, if the family isn't already, getting connected to therapy services for even the parents if they need, the parent if they need it, but also the youth, getting connected to other resources like parenting classes to help with that coping and behavior management. And then also working with that youth around the clock to figure out what are their interests and what are their goals, to figure out what are the barriers into addressing them. So my suggestion would be to make a referral to ICC. Now I'll say too, Volunteer Behavior Health also has some great services here in town. That's another great mental health service agency. There's also a mental health co-op. They also do inpatient here. We don't have youth inpatients. So I'll say that's something that we do not offer, but there's some great resources for that.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a question. My youngest 2 children, they're twins, they started kindergarten this year, and every day when they get home, all they want to talk about is what this one student, we'll call this student John for the sake of anonymity, but all the different things John did to disrupt the class and stuff like that. And then yesterday they got home and they said, oh, John's going to a new school when we come out. So it's like, I don't know, I was curious, I guess I got 2 questions. One, how often do you see like Murfreesboro City Schools reaching out and engaging y'all in situations like this? And 2, what kind of school would that look like? What kind of school options are there for when they pull a kid from the school based on that kind of behavior? I'm not sure just what resources in that regard are out there.
I have only had Rutherford County since July 1st, so I have not seen much of that yet. I did have a parent who I worked with in Davidson County who had her parent lived in a different county, and she pulled her student and put him like in with his grandmother. Like he's had him go live with his grandmother so they could go to school in that county. I don't know, I don't know what the options would be in Murfreesboro City Schools. I know we're not supposed to do that, but yeah, I don't have that answer.
There's like a behavior alternative school actually in Smyrna.
That's
Called
right,
something
yes.
Spring. That's like kind of brand new. I'm out with
Yes.
school there. There is
Used to be
one.
Smyrna.
Okay.
So maybe
They
say,
named-
Smyrna
they
West
named
is
it. It's
still
like
there.
an old building.
Springs meets is a boys and girls club in Smyrna. It is a charter school, and I know that there are some kids that are challenged there. They release to them.
So.
Thank you so much, and Michelle is the winner after.